Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's chhaviZaine, just coming on to have a quick discussion with you all. I'm trying to see how I can best position the phone because of the sunlight shining real brightly today. I'm glad about that because it's been a lot of cloudy days out here. Lots of cloudy days. And it's like, okay, I need me some sun. So today is a beautiful day. Hopefully you all are able to catch some of the sun today as well. But y'all, I just wanted to talk to you all about planning for the future. And when I talk about the future, I'm actually going beyond, excuse me, beyond this lifetime. And I know some of y'all are like, what do you mean beyond this lifetime? Well, consider a lot of the spiritual work that you've done up until now has been to like clear generational curses, ancestral blockages, things that happened in your past, clearing out those traumas, as well as ancestral traumas, right? So we're tapping into the past frequency and cleaning up what others might have missed or might have been too afraid to touch or might have just been too asleep to actually to clear, right? So all past energy, for the most part, is what we typically focus on. Now, we do tap into doing some future alchemy, right? A lot of times you'll focus on becoming the best version of yourself. So that's an ongoing process, anticipating that tomorrow you will be better than you were today, and so on and so forth. Also, maybe even, manifesting or calling in more wealth for your family, generational wealth, more security, stability, more peace, better health. These are all future things that you are calling in this very moment. It's your desire to see yourself in these positions in the future as well as right now. But the future is constantly happening even right now. You see what I'm saying? So we do focus on future energy as well. But when I say using alchemy or manifesting for your future lifetime, I'm looking at, okay, just hear me out on this one. And if you find that you've received this message or it resonates with you, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from y'all. But consider time itself is fluid, right? You might even say that it's non-existent. I was just talking to my children this morning and they was like, well, is it possible for it to be another time somewhere else? I said, absolutely. I said, it could be another day somewhere else. And I asked them, I says, well, if I tell you that it's Monday over here and somebody tells you it's Tuesday over there, it's 2:00 over here, but it's 8:00 over there, who's right? They said, neither one. Who's wrong? Neither one. So therefore, timing is very fluid, right? It's not real. We know that, especially the Gregorian calendar was fashioned after, paying taxes. Okay, let's make sure we get that first of the month in there. All right, or the first of the year. Let's make sure that they know what time it is. But outside of that, timing is a fluid energy. It's like a wave, So with that being said, why can't you plan for your future lifetime, or even planning and manifesting on behalf of your future offspring, those that have yet to come into this world? I'm talking about the children of your children, of your children, of your children's children. Preparation is a powerful tool when you know what to do with it. And so to me, I say, well, I know I've been here many lifetimes in the past. Why would I assume that this is the last one? Right? So if I'm talking about me specifically, planning for myself, my future life, why would I assume that this is the very last one? Especially considering, for me, my personal awakening happened at the age of 33, like literally at the age of 33. That's when I woke up. So that is, to me, a little late in the game, right? Because there's a lot of things that I could have accomplished prior to that had I already been awakened. Now, I'm not saying that I showed up late. I showed up just in time, right? That awakening happened just in time. But I'm saying, considering if I am planning for my future lifetime, then the more ideal position would be that I'm born awake. I come into this lifetime or the next lifetime fully aware and alert of what's happening around me, fully aware that my thoughts create things, fully aware that I must control my emotions. I must, place boundaries in my environment to ensure that during my season of cultivation, nothing is there. So all of these things, it's like, not saying that you will avoid having to deal with problems, but you will most certainly be able to navigate them far better and avoid repeating cycles and continuing generational trauma, because you find out later on in the game, after you've already, placed a lot of that pain and trauma, and your children have seen particular things because you wasn't awake and you didn't know no better, XYZ. I can't assume that this is my last go round. So it's like, where would it harm? Where would be the harm? What would be the harm to plan for future lifetimes, as well as I mentioned before, the future offspring that have yet to be born, right? It's like, okay, so we're planning for our children's future. We are establishing generational wealth, generational wisdom, generational good health, right? These are the things that we are setting them up for in hopes that they'll pass that wisdom down. But in terms of alchemy, why not use that as a tool to help lay the foundation, to help shift the energy, to smooth things out on their behalf? Not saying that the power is 100% in our hands. Absolutely not. Right? The Most High Mother and Father has the first and final say. However, the Most High Mother and Father has given us the authority to be the co-creators of our lives. We are operating, let me say it like this. When I first awakened at 33, one of my very first curiosities was, what is this really? Who are we? What is this? I began to get a lot of comparisons. I was definitely listening to messages about the microcosmic versus the macro, and how there was a lot of comparisons to the cells and versus the solar systems, and the as above, so below. Everything is a reflection. Whatever's happening up or out there is already happening in here. I learned all of that at that time because I was like deeply involved in understanding this thing. And I received a message, a visual. The Most High gave me a visual that we are all cells functioning in a greater body, right? Cells functioning in a greater body. And I asked the Most High, I was like, well, how come there's a lot of wickedness out here then? And you know what I got? The wickedness is the intruders, the invasive viruses and bacteria that the body will naturally ward off once it recognizes that it does not belong there. But it also showed me that, yes, the heating of the body, the inflammation, that's the main thing that kills off the unwanted intruders, right? That will be those people who are operating in low vibrational energy that goes in opposition to the best of the overall body, right? Or that oppose homeostasis. That's the best way to say it. And so the heating, I was shown that the inflammation represents the awakening of the chosen. We become enlightened. Okay? And once we become enlightened, we start to move differently. If we're each individual cells of a whole body, we start to operate differently. Our DNA begins to express itself differently because we start to think differently. And so it restores balance by first heating up. That's why we get into that space where we start kicking folks out. We kick out karmics. We get rid of nasty friends, unhealthy jobs, and unhealthy behavior patterns, thoughts, addictions. Our carnal nature, we start kicking things out. That would be the process of the inflammation or the body heating up, fever, to burn out all of those unwanted viruses or bacteria, right? So I was given that visual. So with that being said, we are in this thing. We ain't going nowhere. Physically, this vessel will deteriorate, but our function will simply just shift. Our function will simply shift in the body. You're not exiting the body unless, of course, you are that virus, you are that unhealthy bacteria that creates an imbalance in the homeostasis, the overall health of that body. But as a chosen seed who operates from integrity, honor, who is working to become the best version of yourself every day, yes, your physical vessel will deteriorate, but the frequency of your energy is going to do something else within that body. You're not going anywhere. So we don't die, or our energy does not die, right? You all have heard the term, energy does not, you can't destroy it. You can only transfer it or transmute it. So either you can transfer it, that energy that we hold gets distributed differently. Okay. It's still there. We're still very much so present. That's why we speak of the soul and the spirit. That does not die. Your energy is still very much so present, but it just gets redistributed. The information that you held as that cell in the body, once it destroys itself, okay, the energy is going to get redistributed. The information is going to get passed around. But we don't go anywhere. So with that being said, I'm rewinding it all the way back to the beginning. With that knowledge and that particular visual, knowing that I am a small part of something far greater than myself, but also knowing that the only thing about me that will die is this 3D avatar, but I will continue to live on, potentially taking on the form of another avatar or whatever form the Most High Mother and Father decides to have me incarnate as, right? I am anticipating and planning in advance that I want to have the best of life. I want to contribute to the best of humanity, or to the best of my environment, whichever environment the Most High decides to place me in, right? So why not plan for the future? Why not plan for the future? Has anybody else out there received that particular visual in terms of us being small cells inside of something far greater? Because if you understand it from that concept, then you understand that, yes, who you are as a chosen seed, you must continue on. Your mission does not end just because the 3D avatar has expired. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, it's just beginning, because the 3D avatar is no longer a hindrance. It's no longer a contraption or a container that's holding you from being able to navigate and to make certain things happen, because we're limited in this particular vessel. We're limited to the things that we can do, the things that we can, obtain. So I say, why not plan ahead? And for me, that looks like setting my intentions. I'm already doing my rituals, my alchemy, setting my intentions for what I want my future to look like in the 3D, what I want my offspring's future to look like. But I'm definitely going to take on setting intentions for my future great grands, as well as my future lifetime. And I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't come into fruition because I don't come back in a 3D avatar such as this one. So it just doesn't quite make sense for the environment that the Most High might place me in the future, potentially. But planning never hurt nobody. You see what I'm saying? Laying out the groundwork, it doesn't hurt. But not anticipating these things can. Because then you're just kind of groping in the darkness with no real direction. No real direction. Consider our ancient ancestors understood the importance of setting things in stone. Giving a roadmap so that future generations, great grands, okay, which is us today, would be able to look back at it and say, oh, so this is how they awakened it. This is how they navigated, and this is how they became enlightened and used this tool or used this part of nature or worked with this particular element. Like they literally placed the footprints in the sand for us because they understood planning for generations to come. But they also understood reincarnation. So consider, I strongly sense that some of these ancient ancestors anticipated that they would reincarnate, and you yourself are those ancestors. You yourself are those kings and queens and royal bloodlines and highly spiritual beings and shamans and healers and seers that existed thousands and thousands of years ago, reincarnated in the flesh, carrying on your mission. It's a strong possibility. Okay? So it's something to think about. It's something to think about. We are energy, potential energy. We are energy. When it's all broken down to the most finite form, dust particles of just pure potential energy. So knowing that your potential energy, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that knowledge, that understanding? Recognizing that you've been given the spiritual authority to shift and to transmute energy because you won't pervert it. You won't misuse it. You won't abuse it. I would say start planning. Let me know what y'all think about this, okay? I just had to come on and just, chat it up with you all because these are some of the things that come across my mind at times, and I just want to see what you all think about that. I'll talk to y'all soon.